Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Environmental Sustainability and Climate Innovation Summit. It is a global platform that brings together leaders, innovators, investors, and policymakers to accelerate transformative action for a sustainable future. It is a convening force where sustainability is elevated as a core driver of competitiveness, resilience, and growth across industries and economies. As a stage for breakthrough solutions and systemic change, ESCI empowers bold leadership and channels innovation into lasting global impact. Together, we are shaping a regenerative, inclusive, and prosperous future for the world. So thank you for joining us here this morning. We are very happy to welcome to the platform. He's joining us today from Boston is Sriman Banerjee. He is the Executive Director and Head of Diagnostics, Software Devices, and Packaging Development at Takeda, company based in Japan. And his topic today is harnessing digital innovation to drive a greener, more sustainable future. Sriman, good morning. Nice to see you. Welcome to our talk here. We look forward to you sharing your knowledge, and I'd be happy to join you back after the talk concludes. Okay, so welcome and good morning.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you for inviting for the New York Climate Week to speak on an important topic related to sustainability and how we can be more greener in some of the areas of development. So today my topic is harnessing digital innovation to drive a greener, more sustainable future. I'll be speaking over the next 20 minutes, sharing some of the information and some of the pathways and case studies in this area. So if we take a step back, we all are aware that climate imperatives are driving digital transformation in some shape or form. It's very important that we focus on climate and environmental issues as we continue with our developments, product developments, and also whether it is research or any other thing in that area, because there is a sustainable environmental sustainable quotient associated with what we do. Further, if we try to leverage some of the innovations and technologies available out there, that's where we feel that there is a digital bridge with many of the things which we have been doing historically in a physical format and thereby going digital, which gives us the benefits in the environmental sustainability space in some shape or form. And therefore, the digital bridge is important in terms of connecting the physical to the tech bits of the story. So here I have two case studies or examples which I wanted to provide. The first being in the in-silico modeling and the product development space, and the second being more on e-leaflets, which is more in the patient, consumer, and supply chain space. So if we take a step back in terms of the product development, as most of it is done today, most of the product development is done in the physical space, whether it is the development using the instruments in the lab, or whether it is for the packaging development of the shipping studies where physical products are used, and also for any other related product development where physical products have to be made on the equipment for several times to validate, qualify the material, the product, etc. Now, come in tech over the last couple of years, where there have been models and softwares which have been developed, which is predominantly using physics and chemistry. A good example would be the finite element analysis software here, which and more which are there out, which can be leveraged to model and therefore do in silico modeling in some of these product development areas. So in that case, what you're doing is many of the initial stages of the product development, you're able to move what would need a physical manufacturing or testing or any of that nature into a tech model space using digital technology. What it does and what it does not do, also one needs to keep in mind. So what it does predominantly is moves the initial development into the digital space where you can do modeling in terms of the product development, the testing, the bits of machinability, etc. However, at some stage, obviously, you will have to move it into the physical stage because the product eventually is a physical product in most instances, which can be consumed by whether it's the consumers, patients, etc. So when you do this digital modeling, there are certain obviously benefits in terms of whether it's speed to market, cost, etc. But it has a larger benefit, I would say, in the space of environmental sustainability, and that is what we will be discussing in this area. So if you see, it reduces the physical prototyping waste and logistics associated with some of these product development, because mind you, now you are doing it in the digital area, which is within a premise or just by using digital tools like computers, etc. as well. Also to note here that many of the models which you develop is not one-time use. So they are multiple use. You can do a lot of iterations in the development already which you are working on, but it can surely be leveraged for future. It can be also transferred between organizations, manufacturing sites, labs, etc. as well. And if you do a life cycle analysis, which the reference I have provided on the slide as well, there have been studies which have been conducted in the past, which shows that when you use digital in silico modeling for the purposes of product development, it can reduce the various emissions, carbon emissions by anywhere between 20 to 50%, and it would amount to reductions in whether it's material savings, energy efficiency, as well as the waste management aspect also associated with it. So that is one example which I wanted to share in terms of the in silico modeling and how we can use digital to bridge the green technology imperative. The second example or case study which we have here predominantly focuses on e-leaflets. If we take a step back here, again, historically, for providing information to patients, whether it's for the drug product, but also for over-the-counter product or even for other personal products, paper leaflets have been the mainstay of communication in the industry, and that provides the detailed information about the product to the patients or the consumers in terms of the safety considerations, the way the product has to be used, and other mandatory requirements as well. However, there is again here an opportunity to move in the digital space by leveraging e-leaflets, which is basically alternate to the conventional paper leaflets, where you are able to scan the QR code on the pack, which takes you to the web page, which has all the product related information. Now there are advantages for both. If we go to see it, obviously the paper leaflet is a go-to option for many individuals depending on their digital dexterity. But we are seeing more and more people, individuals now in the connected space where they are more engaged in the digital area as well. Uh, this provides couple of benefits as well. I mean, in the digital realm, you are able to have multiple features, including search features online. You can also increase the font size, etc., which potentially, again, in the physical space becomes a challenge with the limitations and restrictions thereof. So coming back in terms of the life cycle analysis and the reduction thereof, it has a significant impact in terms of carbon reduction when we move from the conventional paper or the physical format into an online format. There have been LCAs which have been conducted, which shows a significant reduction across all environmental parameters. Again, the link provided here is the reference to the LCA analysis in this area. And with these two case studies, we are able to demonstrate how digital can bridge the green technology imperative. There is savings and there are benefits as well using some of these technologies, which gives us opportunities to think about new areas where some of the digital technologies can be leveraged, which eventually would reduce some of the carbon emissions which comes through the development or the manufacturing process. Uh, so with that, I hand it over back to Glenn uh, to take us forward.
Okay, thank you, Sriman. Appreciate the talk. Appreciate the information on the on your presentation as well. So thank you for that. Quick question on the let's start with the e-leaflets because everybody remembers the doctor's office, stuffed with pamphlets, right? All the little plastic holders and and you name it was in there, right? And you always actually knew I knew somebody who's pretty famous now, and that was his original company was it was based on that, and eventually wound up listing on the New York Stock Exchange. But it was you look at all of that kind of information, and then you look to, as you said, the engagement that the digital platform enables, I think, is just really pretty fascinating. And I've seen it even in my own life with my just turned 91-year-old uncle, who I kind of keep track of and take care of. From time to time, we'll go in for the cardiologist and things like that, and they'll give him like a wearable thing, and they're in, there, and he's now monitoring it, right? And he's able to look up, and he is a big reader. He'll read every little thing. So, you think about people taking that personal responsibility for their health and their wellness. If you make it more engaging, easier, and even something like you said, the font size, right? Being able to make it bigger. And as I've gotten older, it's guilty. It's like, why I can't see that anymore. So you try to push it forward. How do you feel from turning it maybe to the physician side? Have you seen them embrace the digitization as well, with that, the ability to communicate that way, or do you think it's more one-sided, or is everybody kind of signing on to it?
So there are a couple of aspects here to understand from a global perspective. So the first bit is there are regulations in place in terms of paper and e-leaflet in different geographies of the world. Uh, in Japan, by legislation, e-leaflet is mandatory. So, which means that they have eliminated paper leaflet for patient information leaflet part of it for the drug product, for almost all drug product.
Wow.
Although it's still prevalent for the devices because of the pictorial depictions, etc. But for the drug product, which is pure text, that has been eliminated in Japan. And there are pathways in different countries in terms of this element as well. If we come back to the US, in fact, US was the first country globally way back in early 2010 or thereabout, where US implemented that all patient information should be on the internet, which was, I would say, a change at that period of time, given if you take a step back to 2 decades. However, it has not yet been able to connect the paper leaf with the e-leaflet with the packaging through a QR code or something equivalent. And that is something which is that digital bridge which we will have to bring to the table, because today you have the packaging in a standalone and you have the information on the internet standalone. Uh, we have seen it being embraced in large geographies, and for the particular reason, which would be that the new generation or the generation over the last several years, uh, they have been more digital savvy. And even today you see, which is obviously, we see doctors engaging much more with digital assets than they were doing earlier. And we would say that, as we have the future generations coming up, we will see more engagement in this area.
It's interesting. Like you could see like the patient leaving the office, and rather than being handed a whole bunch of stuff to read, they're handed like here's the website address, right here, or oh, we'll send you an email with the link, and please go in and explore that. It's a fascinating turn of events, for sure. And you're right. Certainly anything that gets regulated, right, or mandated, always accelerates, change, right? Or it can be a disruptive force, even regulations and compliance and the like. How about on the other side of the house? How about on the modeling side? Now, you mentioned that a lot of development obviously still happens in physical spaces, right? But you think about, even when everybody gets together in the physical space, how much digitization goes on when they're in the physical space, right? Everybody's probably got their phone out, their tablet, and they're all looking, and doing all that. So even though they're quote unquote in a space, chances are technology is like surrounding them anyway, you know, as it looks to that. Um, how about the prototyping? You mentioned prototyping as well, and I'm not a 3D printing person or anything like that. Although I've seen it and it's impressive. How about on that side of the house? How I know obviously, like you said, you talked about some of the admissions and from a sustainability standpoint. How do you see that kind of being navigated? And obviously, if it's digital, I mean, and again, international executive yourself, right? It it makes us, beyond all boundaries, right? Because then you don't have to be in the same spot for the development or the meeting or the check-in on the trials, right? Everybody can kind of join that way. How about on that side of the house? Do you find any resistance or people pushing back on that?
Yeah, so it's a good question, Glenn, and let's take a step back here. So first of all, I would say that most of the equipments which are used today, they are all digital in some shape or form. There isn't anything which is a standalone, which is not connected to anything digital. And most of the equipments also have their own softwares, as you would appreciate, to run these equipments, whether it is lab testing equipments or whether it's large machineries as well. Having said that, again, it's that interoperability and connectivity which comes into play, which is critical in terms of when we call what we call as a digital ecosystem in this area. So, couple of things to answer your question. So, one is many of these things, by the way, got accelerated during the COVID time. It is not that some of these things did not exist earlier. As I said, I mean, the concept of e-leaflet goes back to decade. Uh, it got accelerated because people were unable to engage, move, etc. in the physical space. but still the business had to, continue or go on in terms of whether it's product development or any other space. Now, as I, mentioned in earlier, that we are not going to give digital products for people to consume, whether it's food products, medicines, cosmetics, etc. They still have to be in a physical format. But the initial stages of the development can surely be in the digital format. And that is where we engage with a lot of digital partners of ours to develop some of these digital tools, which will enable us to do product development in the digital space. And again, what is done here is it mirror image what a physical machine would do in, for example, in the terms of manufacturing.
Hmm.
And you are able to now iterate several things digitally, and then when eventually you complete that digital product development, you are able to quickly replicate it in the physical space. And because you are doing it digitally, you can do it in several locations based on each individual's subject matter expertise, which again they need not come together, but they can work in different time zones, different offices, even locally, and do the product development. If
Yeah,
you
no,
even take the
no reason.
example of US has multiple time zones, and as much as it would seem easy, but with the multiple time zones, even working between East and the West Coast sometimes becomes challenging. So all those bits also we are able to bridge using some of these digital technologies.
No, and who doesn't like bridges, right? It's that infrastructure. It's the take us from one side of the harbor to the other. It's the pathway forward for sure, for sure. When you look, and the collaboration sounds really impressive, right? Because it's a digital space. I mean, you just make it much easier for the scientific community, the engineering community. I'm sure when you start talking dollars and cents too. You've got the finance folks and the controllership, CFO suite. Those types of folks also participating and looking and getting the information available. So it strikes me as very very collaborative, even though it may necessarily be in person. Everybody's seemingly getting a chance to kind of do their part, right? Come in and kind of contribute, add something, come back. And like you said, you don't have to worry then so much about the time zones. You're coming back, and people are able to come and go as they want on the project. How about from a senior leadership standpoint, and maybe take it to the corporate community, Takeda or otherwise? This would be very strategic. This type of movement, that digital bridge. Do you see a lot of C-suite interest in this from a corporate standpoint, and maybe even taking it up a notch, maybe even the board of directors in certain types of companies, the people in charge of helping run the company?
So, what we have been seeing, obviously, that this is an international trend and not limited to any particular geography, industry, etc., in some of these areas. However, we also need to understand the talent gap which exists in many of these areas, right? And we sometimes forget the talent gap which is still existing, and that's where how we can engage with the education system in terms of, again, I would use the word bridge, which is bridging that gap in terms of talent. Because even today, if you take a step back, I mean, the education system still focuses on two separate areas, which is the physical, with the physical, I would say, biomedical engineering, or the regular engineering courses as well, and the second being more in the software and the digital space. There is rare, I would say, instances where individuals have expertise in both the areas. Uh, and that becomes, I would say, an impediment to, fast tracking some of these initiatives, because you still need the physical people to provide, or the physical experts in many of these areas to provide that information to the digital to be converted into the digital models, etc. Although now we have of late seen universities offering some of these courses in this space, and interest also among students to pursue this, because again, I mean, any individual would pursue education as part of their career growth opportunities, etc. And that is again something which we need to focus on in terms of getting talent in this space.
Well, it's the you know it's the it would be it's that next generation. It's that those future leaders in this area or any area. On the university side, the fact that you're doing things digitally, and I've been to a couple of colleges, some of what's called the AI labs and things like that, and it's amazing the work they're doing there, right? The physician assistance program now, the nursing programs, they're putting on the goggles, and that's kind of how they're working through it. But you think of like courses, and universities are always looking for experiential learning for students, right? And you always get into that, well, where is it, can they come? But here, using from a digital standpoint, you kind of take that off the table. They are in fact be able to learn and participate through that, and maybe so they're having that internship, but it's a digital internship, and they're partaking that way. And then you think about that, it just makes it that much more accessible. It's like, oh well, my school's here in Long Island, and the company the company's in Japan, and it's a wonderful opportunity, but I don't think I can go there. Now you can, right? Just like that. Now you could be right there, in the Takeda offices and lab, and just working it through that way. So it just gives lots of possibilities. And you're right. It's that again. There's that gap, and here's a way of filling it, and then collaborating and partnering with the educational systems, because it's always forward looking, right? So I mean, just fascinating. So listen, thank you for joining us. What a great talk. Such an expert. We wish you, Sriman, all the best. Please stay connected with us here, One Business World, and our climate related items here on the sustainability focus. You're an expert, and we respect your opinions and your views, and we all learn as we go. So what a great conversation. Thanks for kicking off our day here, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Okay.
Thank you, Glenn, and thank you, One World, for providing this opportunity.
All right. Take good care. See you next time. Good day.